Good morning, y'all. I know it's early. Um, I'm doing this live because, first of all, I haven't done a live in forever. It feels like it's been forever. But only reason being because I came. I'm from anybody that doesn't know. I'm from the Eastern Shore of Maryland, born and raised. But I moved to Texas, and we, me and my family came back from Houston to do this recovery event in my hometown. We do two of them a year. One we do around like March and April, and then the other one we do in August. So we do two events a year. And anybody that doesn't know, if you haven't seen my videos before, you haven't been following me. Um, we basically do these recovery events in our hometown, and the purpose of the event is to raise money for a nonprofit. It's called Restoring Hope in Women, um, and we basically just try to help raise money to get women into recovery and get them started in their recovery journey as far as getting housing and stuff like that. And that's kind of the sole purpose of our event. And also the event is to not only raise money to help get women into recovery, but another purpose of the event is to bring the community together and raise awareness about recovering addicts. And a lot of times people see addicts and alcoholics and they don't put a lot of thought into it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people that aren't struggling with it, they look at them like cancers of the community. Reason being, a lot of people involved in drugs, they're in the paper for theft and burglary and stuff like that. So a lot of people look at alcoholics. You see them always getting DUIs and all this kind of stuff. So a lot of people look at struggling addicts. They look at them like cancers of the community. So when we have events like this, it gives a chance for the community to get together and see the people who are recovering and see what they're able to do. And they may look at struggling addicts as potential people who can one day give back to the community in a positive way and make it a better place for our children. And that's kind of what my driving force is. It's not just to help struggling addicts, but it's to try to repair the community for the next generation. So hopefully our children and our children's children won't have to go through a lot of the same struggles that we went through growing up in small towns or wherever you're from. You could have had a lot of addicts and alcoholics in your family, and you could have learned that behavior growing up. And then you flash forward, and now you're having those same struggles that you watched your parents go through, or you watched your elders go through, your whoever it may be in your family that went through that. So my thinking behind it all is, if we can help get these parents clean, or these future parents clean, and we can help them, help get them clean and sober and get them, back on their feet and living life the way it should be lived. Um, hopefully these children growing up will see better role models, and they may make better decisions in their future. Um, a lot of people have heard the saying before, today's abused kid is tomorrow's abusive adult. And I kind of look at that same way with addicts and alcoholics. You might not think about it growing up, seeing your father who's an alcoholic or your mother who's a drug addict. You may not think that's going to be you growing up. You might not put a lot of thought into it. But then you flash forward in your 30s and you realize, like, I struggle with the same shit. I've been going through the same thing. I picked up the same habits because that's what I was around. That's what I saw. Um, and even though I always preach about how, I didn't start drinking because, my father and my grandfather and all these other people around me, I didn't start drinking because they were alcoholics. I didn't start drinking because my mother was a drug addict. I started drinking because I wanted to have a good time, and all my older friends that I was around, they were all doing it, and I didn't see any harm in it. And I thought I was better than my father. I thought I was better than my grandfather. I thought I was better than all them. Growing up, you couldn't tell me anything. I was hard-headed, and I thought I knew everything. I didn't think that I was gonna become an alcoholic. And when you're in that party phase and you're socially drinking, you get learned behavior, because in the beginning it's not like that. You know what I mean? In the beginning when I was drinking, I didn't have an issue. I could have a couple beers and a couple shots and put it down, and I would hang out and wait till I sobered up before I would drive home. Like, these are all the things that casual drinkers do, and I was doing all those things. But we all know that it's a progressive disease. It may not progress for one person, but the next person, it can turn into a full-blown problem. And that's what ended up happening to me. So, flash forward, I became the same person. And in your subliminal, you're really just picking up that behavior. You don't realize it, but that's what you're doing. For a lot of us, not all of us, but for a lot of us. And the purpose, of this event is, I don't want today's youth to grow up and see their parents going through this kind of stuff, because number one is it's damaging. It's unnecessary baggage for the children. Even if your children don't become addicts or alcoholics, they're still carrying that baggage that you're putting on them. And that's what I'm kind of all about. For me, it's all about the kids. I'm a father of two daughters. One's coming up on 3 months, and the other one's 2 years old. So, me knowing what I know that, if I can stay sober, they'll never see me like that. And that's my ultimate goal. That's my biggest goal for my life, is I don't want my children to ever see me drunk. I don't want them to ever hear about me being drunk. I don't want them to ever find beer cans in the trash or none of that shit. You know what I mean? I don't want them to know anything about who I used to be or the things I used to do, because it's not, to me, it's not anything that they're gonna benefit from. They're gonna benefit from having a sober father. They're gonna benefit from having a father who's present. They're gonna benefit from having a father who is here in his right state of mind all the time, 24/7. They're gonna benefit from not, sitting up at night waiting for dad to come home, and dad never shows up. He never comes home, and then when he does come home, he's disoriented, or violent or angry or whatever, not himself. And from a kid who saw these things growing up, it's scary for a young child to see somebody that they see one way, and then all of a sudden they're acting different with no explanation. It's scary for a child because they don't understand. They don't have the mental power to understand that, this drug or this alcohol alters your mood. It alters who you are. It alters the way you act, the way you talk. So it can be traumatizing, and that's just in itself, just seeing you that way. It doesn't count for, if you have a violent tendency, or if you get angry, or if you get emotional, or whatever the case may be, for how you actually act when you're that way. And when the child grows up over the years, it turns from fear to just heartbreak. It breaks your heart to see your parent like that. And then that heartbreak turns into resentment and a grudge, and all these things might trigger you to become that same person. You might not realize it in the beginning, but over the years, when you learn more about yourself and why you do things, you might realize, I accidentally picked up this same type of behavior. As much as I hated this person for it, I still became the same way. So, that's something that I, want for my kids. I don't want them to see me like that. And that's why this is so important to me, because I don't just care about my children, I care about everybody's children. Because, kids don't have a choice. They don't choose to be here. You bring them here. So why bring your children into this world and put them through torment, put them through hell, and give them anything less than the best you can do? You don't have to be a millionaire. You don't have to have all the right answers to be a good parent. But you do have to be present, and you do have to be stable, and you do have to have, the right state of mind to be a good parent. So a lot of people get it confused. Parenting has nothing to do with your financial situation or anything like that. Your kids do not care if you're rich or poor. What your kids do care about is if you're there for them, if you're present. And we all know, anybody watching, we all know you can't be present if you're always drunk and you're always high. You will not be there for your children. I know it for a fact because I went through it. Um, so it's just something to think about. I just want to give you a background on, who I am and what I'm about. Um, I started drinking when I was like 15. By the time I was 19, it became a real problem, and I started this journey that I'm on between the age of 28 and 29. So it took me, almost 15 years to, want this for myself and want to get sober and want to, be the person that I am today. So it's not a contest, people. You know what I mean? Whenever you're ready and whenever you make the decision to get sober and to get clean, you have the ability. I talk to a lot of people, man, and it's just like a lot of people aren't ready. They say they are, but you can't just. We spin this false narrative that like eventually you'll get sick and tired of being sick and tired. That's not true. You can you'll get sick and tired, but because you have this habit that you created, you'll keep doing it as much as you hate you don't hate the high or the being drunk. You just hate the backlash that you get from it. You hate the fact that, you end up getting in trouble. You hate the fact that you end up going to jail. You hate the fact that you're on probation. So you gotta stop just hating the consequences. A lot of us, we just hate the consequences. And I went through that. When I was like 20, 21, I was like, man, I got a problem. I need to get my shit together. Flash forward 8 more years, I kept drinking, because I didn't hate drinking. I didn't hate the party. I just hated the consequences that kept coming with it. So you have to make sure you're not just tired of the consequences, that you're actually tired of being a drug addict or an alcoholic. And a lot of us, it's like a thin line there between that. A lot of us get confused and we think we're ready to get sober or to get clean because we hate the consequences. It's like a little kid who, does something wrong and they get in trouble and their parent gives them a bunch of punishments and, they think that's going to change the kid's behavior, and the kid keeps doing the same thing and the parent can't figure out why. And the kid seems like the kid's reforming, after the punishment, but then a couple months later, the kid's right back to doing the same bullshit. And they're like, I don't understand. The parent doesn't understand. It's like, well, the kid hates the consequence. So when the consequence is fresh in the kid's mind, the kid will change his or her behavior for a little while, but then they'll go right back to it. If real change and change for the moment are two different things. So it's just something I want a lot of people to be aware of when they start this journey, because I talk to, some chronic relapsers, some people who, just always struggle. They can't even stay clean or sober for a flash in the pan, and it's because you're not ready yet and you haven't really made the decision. To me, once you make the real decision and it's a genuine decision and you really just want to quit for you, you'll have a lot more success, but if you're quitting for other reasons or you're just worn out and tired, to me, that's not enough, and it's also not enough if you're going to quit. What's up, Paul? It's also not enough if you're just going to quit but not do any of the work. If you just keep setting yourself up for the same failure by doing the same thing or surrounding yourself by the same people or making excuses to why you can't get help or why it's not working for you. It's like you got to help yourself. Nobody can help you if you don't help yourself. I'm doing good. I'm on here talking about this event that we're doing today in my hometown. I'm from Maryland. And I moved to Houston, but I came back to Maryland for this event. We do 2 of them a year. We raise money for Restoring Hope in Women. It's a nonprofit organization where we live, and they try to get women into recovery and get them started out. A lot of people get into recovery and they don't have any funds. And anybody that knows, all this shit costs money. Getting into a halfway house, they charge you, you got to pay rent there too. And while I kind of don't like the fact that, you got to pay rent, but at the same time, it's like, to me, a halfway house is about teaching, transitioning you back into the real world. And there ain't too many places, unless you still got a mama or a grandmama that's going to let you live off of them forever. There ain't too many places that you ain't going to have to pay to stay. So I kind of understand why, plus everything costs money. It costs them money too. So you should have to learn how to pay your own way again. And that's part of transitioning back into an adult. Most addicts and alcoholics I talk to, getting clean and sober is the easy part. The hard part is becoming a real adult again. They forget how to be an adult. You know what I mean? Because when you're an addict and an alcoholic, you neglect 99% of your responsibilities because your drink or your drugs come first. And when you're putting that shit first, everything else is secondary. So you forget how to be a real adult. You forget how to be, contributing member of society because you're only worried about one or two things. So another reason why I want to do this is because at this event that we do, we have speakers, we have guest speakers. They get up, share their story. We have food, and we try to raise money. So we do like raffles. We do giveaway baskets. Like a lot of people contribute and put together baskets like, car cleaning kits or, anything like useful stuff that anybody can use. And they put it all together and they'll raffle it off. They'll have people, buy raffle tickets. And it's just like, a way to make the donation fun, a way to make it fun for people. A lot of work goes into this. A lot of people contribute. And it just, to me, it's just about bringing the community together so we can all see that we're all people, addict or not, we're all people. Addict or not, we all struggle. Addict or not, we all have feelings, emotions. We all, we're all living a life. We're all living the same life. We just doing different things. And just because you're not struggling with drugs or alcohol, it doesn't mean that you're perfect. It doesn't mean that you're not struggling with shit too. It doesn't mean that you don't have some trash in your backyard, And I like to get people together so we can see that, hey, these are really good people. Just because they went through a hard time, it doesn't make them, bad people. They're just struggling like anybody else. And their struggle is just a little bit different because they're struggling with drugs and alcohol. And I just want to open the eyes because I don't know about you guys, but with this social media generation, I see a lot of addicts and alcoholics. They get demonized on the internet, especially with this Narcan shit. So many people selling false narratives about Narcan, and they just say some real hateful shit. You know what I mean? Just let them die. It's like, it's ridiculous to me. And it just shows their lack of perspective. For you to say that we have something that can bring somebody back to life, who overdoses, and you say you think it's a waste of money, and you're pissed off because, I love it, the famous tax dollar bullshit. Like, your taxes pay for so much other stupid shit. I'm not really going to get into it because it just annoys me. And I'm not even a heroin addict. Like, I've never done dope in my life. You know what I mean? I'm an alcoholic. My thing's always been drinking. I don't know if there is anything for an alcoholic. You know what I mean? If you know what I'm saying? But my mother was a heroin addict. My mother did have that problem. So I take it personal for that perspective. But I'm going to tell you why I take it personal even more. I don't take it as personal for my mother as I do for these young kids out here. To say that you think, just let them die because you don't want to pay taxes on it. Like, I don't even understand. First of all, it's false. Second of all, to let an 18-year-old die when you have something that can give them a second chance or a third chance, or I don't care how many chances, it's just asinine to me. I just don't understand. You're going to, 18-year-old, if they live until they're 80, that's so much of their life that they could do something. They could do something powerful, something productive. You don't know who that person could turn out to be. And you just don't care. And I always just say, what if it's your child? I hope it's never your child. I hope it's never your grandchild. because people just think, people just think that, oh, it won't happen to me. People always like to say, I raise my kids better. Bullshit. It doesn't matter how you raise your kids. Their peers are going to be more of an influence than you can ever be. You can be the best parent on the planet, but when they get to high school, them people that they're hanging around in high school, their influence is going to be a lot more powerful than your influence, whether you realize it or not. And that's just the truth. I've seen a lot of kids who come from, great backgrounds and great families and great pedigree, and they get hooked on heroin just the same. They get hooked on drugs just the same. They go through all that shit just the same. So I always say no one's untouchable and no one's above it. There is no fail safe on how to avoid becoming a drug addict or an alcoholic. And when kids are going through puberty and, trying to be accepted, and they're going through all that changes in life, they're going to make some shitty decisions, and you never know. You know what I mean? You never know where that's going to take them. So it can happen to you. And I would hate to see the same person who said, who slung out all this hatred for Narcan, and then their child may need it, or their grandchild may need it one day, and you might have to eat those words. You know what I mean? Let's say, that your child was around somebody and they don't want to take the charge, so they don't call the cops or they don't call emergency units, and they just leave your child laying there, and they run off, and, the responders say, hey, if we could have got here in time, Narcan would have saved your child's life. And you got to eat those words. So just think about stuff like that before you say things. And like I said, it's not coming from I'm not one of those people who is coming from a personal standpoint. Like, I've never used anything that I would even need Narcan for. You know what I mean? But I still take it personal because it goes against the greater good of the cause when you have so many young people today ODing from it. And a lot of them aren't making it. A lot of them don't get the call or don't get the help they need because their friends dip out because their friends are afraid to get in trouble. But it makes me happy to know that there are a lot of kids who get brought back, a lot of 18-year-olds, 19, 20, 21. These are young people that shouldn't be losing their life over a drug. And if there's something that can, give them another chance, I'm all for it. I don't care what it costs. I don't care what it costs me. I don't care what it costs my family. I'm all for it. So that's just how I feel. And, like I always tell people, we're active in the cause. That's another thing, too. I hate people who bitch about the problem but don't do anything to bring to the table of solution. Where is your contribution? If you're just going to sit back and complain about the problems, you're useless to me. If you don't have anything to contribute to the solution, or you don't bring anything positive to trying to make a difference or trying to help change your community, then you're just running your mouth. That's just how I feel. You're just running your mouth. If you are those people who get on the blog pages and get on the articles and, on the internet, and you just run your mouth and put down addicts all the time, and you don't realize, like, this is your community. You can sit there and put them down all day long, but it's not going to change the drug problem. Giving the police department a round of applause because they locked up 5 junkies, it's like, it's not going to change the drug problem. They're going to get out in 30 days, 90 days, 60 days. And if there's no solution being put in place and there's no help being put in place, it's just a cycle that's going to keep going around and around. You know what I mean? And their kids are going to go to school with your kid. They might become good friends, and they might start experimenting with drugs and alcohol like most people do when they're in high school. And you might, like I said, you might have to eat those words. That might be your child. I hope it's not. I don't wish that on anybody. But I'm just saying, be more self-aware of the things you say. And a lot of people's family members die because of this. So it's heartless to just get on there and say things like that, in my opinion. Okay, but let's cut to the chase. So we want to kind of get, you guys involved too. So we got some. We also sell t-shirts to raise money. And we have our own YouTube channel, Breaking the Chains, where we put all our videos. We do a lot of topic-driven videos. We always try to do like the just for the day, or we try to do a really good topic. We went through all the 12 steps. I mean, we've done a lot of content, a lot of recovery content, and it can be found on our page, on our Facebook page, or it can be found on our personal pages. It can be found on our YouTube channel. Um, so if you ever need a message, they're all titled. You can go on there and find the one that you might need. Um, and we try to go live a lot. Like I said, I haven't been live lately just because of the traveling. So it's been busy, and I'm trying to spend time with my family. So I'm not really, I'm just focusing on the moment. Um, but we have some literature. A lot of people, when we do these videos, we realize they don't have any literature. Um, so for my people on social media, we're gonna do a literature giveaway. So probably what we're gonna do is for every book that we have, we're gonna pick a number for the book, and then we're gonna have our viewers pick a number one through whatever we pick, and then whoever gets the number of the book, they get that book. We'll inbox you. You can give us your address. We'll mail it out to you. We'll cover the all expenses of the shipping, of course, and so we'll take care of the shipping costs and all of that. So um, don't know when it'll be. Probably later today we'll do it because the event's today. So maybe at the end we'll hop on here and we'll do a live video and we'll go ahead and do the giveaway. I don't know how many books we have. I think we have like 4 or 5, maybe. They're all different. So that's probably how we'll do it. And we might do, pick a number one through whatever for each book. So that way nobody's getting a duplicate. Like if you already have this book, then you can pick the book you want to be entered in. So it's going to be like a little raffle that we're going to do to get you guys involved in the event. So that's that. Um, and if we message you and we inquire about your address and you don't respond to us, it'll be next person up. So make sure if you participate in this later on today, make sure that you're responsive on your messenger. So we can get in touch with you, get your address, and get it shipped out to you if you do win. So that's all I wanted to do for today. I just wanted to let y'all know about the event that I'm doing, and with Jewel, she is kind of the front runner for the event. She does most of the work. Um, Got to give her credit. She does a lot of work for this. Um, and I wanted to let you guys know about the raffle for the literature that we're going to do for you guys later on today. Um, so if you're interested, just stay tuned. Um, you can add me on my personal Facebook page. You can inbox me if you need anything. You can inbox me if you have any questions. Um, if you want me to notify you, we'll probably do it in this group. But if you want me to notify you when we do the raffle, when we do the giveaway for the literature, just inbox me and say, hey, before you go, can you, inbox me, and I will. Um, Also, of course, you can catch the replay, and you can participate in the replay. So we'll probably leave the raffle open for like 24 hours, and so people can watch the replay and pick a number and all this jazz. And then tomorrow or the next day, we'll probably go ahead and announce the winners, get your address, and get it shipped out to you probably Monday or Tuesday. Um, but that's all. That's all I wanted. Just wanted to give y'all a quick shout out and let y'all know what's going on today and try to get you guys involved in the literature giveaway. So, like I said, any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to add me on my personal page and feel free to inbox me. Thank you guys for watching. Stay clean, stay sober.